On today's live daily news, we'll tell you everything you need to know about what's going on with this ice storm, give you an update on how the roads are looking out there, and insight into that Mississippi jury trial for the suspect in the slaying of an Angelo State University professor. Plus, Joe Hyde will be breaking a story live on the air shortly. All this plus more. I'm Yantis Green, and this is Live. But first, have you gone out for a steak lately? Take a trip out to Miles, Texas, and select the juiciest and tastiest cuts of steaks in Texas at Sklenarix. Sklenarix Smoked Meats is an award-winning smokehouse located on the main drag there in Miles, Texas at 108 South Robinson. Sklenarix Smoked Meats is open from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. weekdays and then again 9 to noon on Saturdays. It's a drive that's worth the taste. Sklenarix Smoked Meats in Miles, Texas. We start today, of course, with what everyone's talking about, and that is the winter storm and the ice going with it. Currently outside, temperatures are in the mid-20s, as they have been most of the day, with a fine mist and some sleet falling. But it's going to get worse overnight. Expect freezing rain to increase and intensify overnight, especially in the early morning hours, say around 4 o'clock in the morning. There is a 100% chance of that freezing rain to continue all day tomorrow. Temperatures tomorrow will stay in the 20s until Thursday afternoon. And you add all of those conditions up, it equals at least 1/2 inch of ice expected by experts on area roadways at sunrise in the morning. That means road conditions will likely be worse tomorrow than they were today. That doesn't bode well for drivers, as this morning, first responders across Tom Green County worked a number of rollover crashes on area highways. Late last night, the Great Creek Volunteer Fire Department told their Facebook followers to stay off the road after working multiple rollover crashes caused by icy roadways, but there were still more crashes today. It will be extremely icy in the morning tomorrow when on the roads, and they will be extremely dangerous again. So stay home, binge Netflix, bathe the dog, anything, but do not drive. On a related note, in Schleicher County, an El Dorado woman was killed after her vehicle slid off the road on an icy U.S. Highway 277. According to Texas Department of Public Safety troopers, around 9:45 last night, troopers were dispatched to a location 8 miles north of El Dorado on 277 for the report of a single vehicle crash. When they arrived, they discovered an older model Chevy truck that had crashed into a tree. The single person in the vehicle was identified as 49-year-old Sherry Taylor. She was pronounced deceased at the scene. Troopers confirmed that icy roads were the main cause of that crash. And finally, we reported in December of 2021 that an Angelo State University professor was allegedly shot and killed by her husband in Mississippi. Natalie Zane Ryan's alleged killer, Wayne Frazier's murder trial, will begin later this month, or late in February. If he is convicted, he could face the death penalty. For more details on that story, check out the article exclusively on SanAngeloLive.com. And with all the winter weather, unfortunately, that means no high school basketball tonight, but that means more games for this weekend. With all of that information, here is Ryan Chadwick with sports.
You've been asking for discounts, and I've been asking the factory for vehicles. Well, it's all lining up. We are offering big discounts, and our lots are filling up with inventory. It's a great time to be looking for a new car or truck. We have up to $9,500 in total savings. You can only get deals like this at Jim Bass Ford, at the corner of Houston Hart and Arden Road, or 24/7 at bassbunch.com.
High school basketball games around the Concho Valley scheduled for Tuesday night have been canceled. The San Angelo Central Bobcats were supposed to host Maine Legacy at Central High School tonight, but winter storms caused SAISD to cancel and or postpone these games. The Lakeview Chiefs matchup against Lubbock Estacado in Lubbock on Tuesday night was also canceled. Both matchups are expected to be played on Thursday if the weather cooperates. TLCA and Wall also rescheduled their respective matchups to Thursday night. TLCA plays the Clyde Bulldogs in Clyde, and Wall travels to Ballinger to play the Bearcats. Be sure to tune in to our Cover 1 Hoop Show at 4 p.m. on Friday. With the Winter Storms, our show will feature results from all the rescheduled games. Most of these teams will have to play 2 district games back-to-back on Thursday and Friday, so it should be a fun week for all of us watching here at home. We will also have an exclusive interview with one of the head coaches, a preview of the matchups, and our predictions for this weekend's games.
So we were on vacation, family vacation, having a good time, and we get the call.
I mean, it was a river. It was a river in our house. That's the big thing, is we kept wondering, how bad is it?
It was devastating. I was like numb. It's like, how are we going to handle all this? What are we going to do?
Usually on Live Daily News, we have an interview to kind of top things off, but today we're going to switch it up and do things a little bit different. For our main event today, it's going to be a good matchup between Lee Pfluger and Zane White. That's right, Joe Hyde has been following this battle since it's been brewing up in the city council meetings, and now it's boiled over in the Design and Historic Review Committee this last week. So with that, I'm going to pitch it to Joe Hyde.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Joe Hyde Report. We all know Zane White, nicknamed the Cactus Crusader, in a lawsuit. He's on a self-gratifying campaign to force a owner of the Cactus Hotel at 36 East Tewig Avenue to fix the very large Hotel Cactus sign that formerly adorned the building's rooftop. The Crusader made his way to the most recent meeting of the Downtown Historic Review Commission meeting to harass his nemesis, Cactus Hotel owner Lee Pfluger, over his request to get more permanent awning replacements around the former hotel's first floor. The DHRC is a city council appointed citizen commission that approves renovations that generally impact the aesthetics of structures located inside San Angelo's downtown district. Chairman David Mazur, elected chairman at the January 26 meeting in question, took no time making his preferences known about how buildings should look. We'll get to Zane White's appearance later. First, however, citizens should know about the ringer the DHRC puts applicants through to obtain approval for renovating their own private property. Under Mazur, the DHRC demanded strict adherence to seemingly subjective standards on projects brought before the commission for approval before construction could begin. The first applicant, grilled by the Mazur and the commission, was subjected to additional tasks by the commission to obtain approval. The property owner's rendition of how the now dilapidated building, most recently terribly damaged after a vehicle crashed into it, appeared to have an Austin stone facade adorning fake garage doors. The building was a postmodernist representation of the former car dealership building it once was. However, currently the unsightly building is barricaded with a chain link fence and has been since 2021. I have some questions. Can you bring it back to that picture? Mazur demanded. What followed were a series of "my only other concern is" by Mazur, panning the unhistoric appearance, the doors, the windows, the proper plaster to be applied to the external surfaces. He also complained that the contractor didn't provide paint chips so the commission could approve the paint colors, even though the supplied rendering was in color. The applicant claimed the paint chips were actually included in the original application, but somehow they weren't present at the meeting. The building will be called Valley Vending, a game amusement venue with pool tables and a jukebox and things like that. We're trying to do this on a budget, said the building contractor. That's the building owner's contractor, and he was having to fight down objections over the fake garage door and other objections to the design. And he says, my only defense is that the city's permits department, that's located in the city-owned historic building that was formerly the county library and located next to City Hall, has the same look as our design right now. That's over 112 to 113 years old, and they did it with historical protocols and everything. Did it meaning they renovated it. Missouri asked for a photo of the old county library, but no one seemed to be able to get one before the meeting is over, so the board moved toward approving or disapproving the property owner's plans. I move that we approve based on the condition that at the next meeting, we can see more specific paint colors, glass type, and a new design on the light, said Commissioner Stacy Elkins. The conditional approval actually passed by a unanimous vote. Then, local attorney Jeff Chandler requested that the commission approve the signage that was to be painted on the west wall of his new offices at 210 West Beauregard Avenue. The board chafed over the drawings, claiming the painted wall's image wasn't perfectly centered. They eventually relented and approved the exterior wall design only if Chandler more perfectly centered the painting's words. That was then, but then the nitpicking seemed to end when Cactus Hotel owner Lee Pfluger approached the board. He was looking to obtain permission to replace the hotel's canvas awnings with steel. Pfluger, expressing his fear of his own mortality, said the canvas awnings will not last long enough after he is gone, and now was the time to replace them with the more durable steel awnings. He even showed the commission one awning that was already installed as an example. Apparently, it was installed without DHRC approval, too. Incorporated into the prepared agenda item for Pfluger's approval was a restriction of sorts to rescind a 2016 DHRC approval for special awning that was to mark the entrance to a basement speakeasy bar. The bar never happened, Pfluger said. He was looking for another tenant who may want to make a go at that type of business. But, Pfluger continued, the special awning was already approved and he didn't want his new awning request to eliminate his ability to legally build the very special awning for the speakeasy's entrance in the future. After fawning over the new Cactus Hotel steel awning replacements, the board not only approved the new awnings, but deleted that provision in the motion that would have eliminated the previous approval for the speakeasy awning, just as Pfluger requested. Cactus Crusader Zane White was watching intently in the audience, scratching notes on a yellow legal pad. And as soon as the public comment opened up for this item, he called out the commission for its blatant favoritism the board gave Pfluger's awning project. With a growling voice, White opened his remarks stating, I think this last little exchange here is a really good example of the checks and balances not being followed through with. Missouri chose to engage the Cactus Crusader, but almost as soon as he did, two board members, Stacy Elkins and Lisa Wallace, left the dais, breaking quorum and forcing the meeting into recess. The city cut the recess out of the video of the meeting, but during the recess, some city staffer confirmed with others in the room that the guy named Zane White was, quote unquote, that guy. White took the opportunity to introduce himself as that guy once the two board members returned and the meeting was called back into order. And then White turned to the slides. He asked for the slides of the awning to be shown up on the screen. He says, I believe one of the slides there was a picture of a metal awning that I believe is on the building now, White said. They said they did that as an example, Missouri responded. And where was the authorization for that? They've been up there for a while, White pressed. It did not come through this board, Missouri assured him. I think you saw, or actually what Zane White responded with, I think you saw there are things going on at the Cactus Hotel that aren't going through proper protocol and procedures consistently. There's a long history of it from what I've seen. Then White asked for the photo of the proposed and existing cactus awnings to be displayed longer. Pointing to them, he called them out. He called them out with an opinion of the hypocrisy of the DHRC.
On the left, and that one on the right, those are, the one on the left is either one that's actually on there or it's almost identical to that. Okay. To me, because this, you went meticulously into the background with this other gentleman here about it needs to be consistent with the historical, all of it, over and over and over. Now, if anybody in here thinks that sign on the left is consistent. Other than it being green, there's nothing consistent, and sort of triangular, there's nothing consistent about that. It's unsightly. It looks like the outside of a shipping container.
Shipping containers, the horror. In the end, the board unanimously voted to approve Pfluger's metal awnings and to remove the language that would have rescinded the special speakeasy awnings previously approved in 2016, practically proving the Cactus Crusader's point about its favoritism. During the open comments at the end of the meeting, more news was breaking. The Cactus Crusader returned to the podium to offer an encore recital of his complaints against the city for not enforcing the sign ordinance concerning the dilapidated Hotel Cactus sign, visually in disrepair, high atop the 1928 building owned by Pfluger. In November, Pfluger won a default judgment in a lawsuit against White for defamation. The court decides how much White must pay Pfluger in March, where Pfluger is asking for $1,000 for every person who has heard White talk bad things about Pfluger. Despite not having the final judgment of the lawsuit, Pfluger elected to answer White's accusations. This time, he did a really good job. Let's watch.
I'm Lee Pfluger, and I own the Cactus Hotel, as you might know. Mr. White has been quite vocal over the last year, harassing the city staff, myself, and he's very calm today. Before, he became very vocal about trying to demean our staff, our city staff, and everything about this sign. We've got about $10 million has been committed to the city, to Cactus Hotel. And Mr. White wants the sign done before we get everything else done that make it habitable and livable and safe. I have SKG has gone up there with their contractors. The sign is totally safe. Comment was it'll withstand an F2 tornado. The timing on the sign replacement will be discussed probably at some point later. Mr. White has basically killed an effort I've been on for about a year and a half to get the sign done and to get it done financially possible. So people just don't want to get involved with him. And I knew that earlier when I was going to visit with you, is that he was going to evolve from, or I felt like he'd go from awnings to the sign. So we had another opportunity now to go to the sign, which is completely off the subject. So I just appreciate y'all listening and being cordial to him. He's got a right to say what he wants to say, either though it doesn't have to be bounded in fact. And I appreciate your opportunity to listen to him and listen to me.
And that's it for news, weather, and sports. Be sure to stick with us. We'll update you on all of the weather as that occurs overnight and especially first thing in the morning. Be careful out there. Again, ½ inch of ice expected on area roadways. Not a good day to drive. Lots of closures out there. Look for that list on SanAngeloLive.com. Until tomorrow, I'm Yantis Green for San Angelo Live.